Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is going to be another review. It's not a movie review, it's not a TV show review, but I'm going to explain why I'm doing this review. Last year at the probably I'd say the same time I saw this show in March, I saw Newsies and I didn't review it for you guys. And I don't know why I didn't review it, but I didn't get a chance to review it. So, I figured that since I didn't review Newsies that I have to review this show. And the problem is this show is now closing tomorrow. But I saw the second to last showing. Today I went out and finally saw If Then. If you guys saw my review for the soundtrack, you guys know how much I've always wanted to see this show. And my parents did it for like as a present for like me being in my school musical and things like that. So I saw it then, and I was so excited to see this show. I mean, really, I've always wanted to see a show because first of all, Idina Menzel on Broadway. Like, who doesn't want to see that? Who is a musical fan and doesn't want to see Idina Menzel on Broadway? Plus, there's the fact that I just thought the overall concept was really, really cool. And how did I think of If Then? It's not a masterpiece. It's not as good as it's not a masterpiece. It does have a few problems, but I loved it. I loved If Then for the most part. I think it is a fantastic story and really has a great central message, which I really do want to talk about. Basic plot of If Then. It's real simple. There's this girl, Elizabeth, who she has just gone through a breakup with either her husband or a boyfriend. His name is Oren, and the very beginning of the show is literally her calling him, saying that she's sorry that they have to break things off, and she ends up meeting her two friends, Kate and Lucas, who have just met each other, which I thought that was really funny. They've just met each other in the park, and they've just become friends. They both realize that they're friends of Elizabeth, which is great, but they both feel she needs a new fresh start. Kate wants her to go with her and call herself Liz, while Lucas wants her to call herself Beth. So basically the rest of the show is she always thinks of the alternative path of what the other path should be. So, throughout the show, she goes through both paths and thinks in her head what could happen in both paths. Basically, that's why the show is called If Then. And in Kate's time period, she ends up, in Liz's time period, we should say, when she leaves with Kate and calls herself Liz, she ends up meeting this guy from the army named Josh, who they start a brief relationship, and then in Beth's time period, she gets this very successful job when she meets this guy, Steven, who is a childhood friend of hers, and basically that's the plot of If Then. It shows both paths, and I understand if someone can get confused by the show. That was the one thing I was worried about while watching the show, but I'm going to talk about what makes this show so good, because there are so many things that work so well in the show. First of all, we have to talk about the acting here, which the acting overall and the performances are spot on. Everyone is giving an amazing performance in the show. There wasn't a weak link in the cast, in my opinion. I thought everyone was great, and we have to talk about Idina Menzel. Holy shit, like, I've never seen Idina Menzel sing live. I've seen her on recordings, I've seen her on TV, I've seen her everywhere. I've seen her in movies, but I haven't ever seen her live. She was fucking amazing live. I mean, just the fact of what she has to do. Think about what she has to do throughout the show. She has to transition between, in one time period, she's wearing these glasses, and then the next time period, she's not, and she has to call herself Liz and Beth, and she has to keep changing costumes so quickly. But one of the things I like is that they use that to their advantage. They use that to fill time. Like, it doesn't seem weird that she just transitions between the two. No, it just works, and they made it work really well. I think she did a very good job, definitely, and you really care about her character as well. In fact, her character is basically us, and the thing that I like about her character is that it really makes you think about, decisions that you've made. In fact, while watching the show, I'm like, you know what? I'm thinking about decisions that I've made. There are many decisions that I've made in the past few years that, yeah, I'd love to change them, and this show shows you what would have happened if you made those other choices. And the other thing I think that she did very well is just show what's going on with her. And there's so many songs where she's just like, what do I do here, if then, and she talks in her head. And some of my favorite scenes with her are probably just her talking to herself and trying to figure out what she should do here. And it was really funny to see. She was also very funny, but she overall just gave a great performance. I mean, Alphaba will always be her best performance, but this was still an amazing performance, and she still did a fantastic job. She was amazing in the show. I thought she was just great, and I loved everything about her character. But the real scene stealer of the show, the person that stole the show, was LaShawne's. Oh my god, LaShawne's. I've never seen LaShawne's live. I've listened to the recording of The Color Purple. That's all I really knew about LaShawne's. But holy shit, she was fucking amazing. Like, she was so fucking funny. In the first few minutes, she has one of the funniest lines in the show, and she's so funny. And throughout the whole show, she had me cracking up. Just her character. She seemed like she was having the most fun. She really did. Out of all the characters, she really seemed like she was having the most fun. I thought she was absolutely hilarious in scenes. And she has a great subplot as well with her and Jen Colella, with, you know, her being a lesbian character and her being a kindergarten teacher. I really cared about her character, and I definitely liked that we saw more of her character. And she really does. She is really as big as a part of the story as, say, you know, Liz or Beth. She really is just as big as a part of the story, which I was very happy about because I was hoping she'd be a big part of the story. And I love how big a part of the story she was. And in both time periods, it was great, and she was just so funny, so sassy as well, which was so great. Her sass was so great. And just the fact that she thought she was like the best kindergarten teacher ever. She has this hilarious line in the beginning where she's like, I'm the fucking greatest kindergarten teacher ever. It was hilarious to see. And also, her interactions with Lucas, oh my god, had me dying. She was so funny, and I loved her character. Her song is one of the most memorable songs in the show, and one of the catchiest songs, and she was just so great. I loved her. So yeah, she was great, and in my opinion, she definitely should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress in the Tonys. I mean, she should have been nominated for that. I mean, really, Best Featured Actress, totally. Nominate her. I would have been. They should have nominated her. She really was that fantastic, and after the show, she was the one that got the most applause. She really did. When she sings her solo, oh my god, the audience was like raving about it. It was awesome. It really was. And she really just, oh my god, she was great. Anthony Rapp is my only problem with this show. His character, Lucas. Now, I will say I don't have too much of a problem with his character. I have a problem with his character in the Beth timeline. Because you see, in the Liz timeline, he gets this boyfriend, and they have a really funny relationship because he's actually bisexual, and we find out that him and Elizabeth used to date during college, and my problem with his character is the Beth timeline. And the Beth timeline's a lot more dramatic. He's a really needy, controlling guy, honestly. Like, you're like, why do you even stay with her if she really wants nothing to do with you? I mean, there's so many times where he's saying about how he loves her, and it's just like, move the fuck on, dude. Like, seriously. There are so many times in the Beth timeline I just want him to go away, really. He was great, but I just want him to go away every time he was in the Beth timeline. For about, I'd say, like, 85% of it, I really want him to go away. He was really annoying, really needy, and there's so many times where she wants nothing to do with him and he just stays there, and it was really, really annoying, and I just want him to go away. And that's really my main complaint with this show, is just the way they did that. I didn't like his character. I thought he was very off in the Beth timeline. And the Liz timeline's played for laughs. It's a lot more funny. And his interactions with his boyfriend, David, was just really well done overall. I definitely thought they did a really good job there. And that's really my only complaint with his character. Overall, he still gave a great performance. I mean, Mark Cohen, still his best performance. But the fact that he reunited with Idina Menzel was great as well, and it doesn't feel like Mark and Maureen. I mean, a lot of people have been saying, oh, it's just Mark and Maureen 2.0, but it's really not, because, first of all, Mark was straight and Maureen was a lesbian, and in this, she's straight and he's bisexual. It's very different, and I think it worked really well with their characters. It's just the way they wrote his character was very off. I have to talk about Josh Schneider as, not Josh Schneider, what's his name? James Schneider, I think his name is. What's his name? James Schneider as Josh. He was fantastic. I loved his character. The chemistry between him and Idina Menzel was perfectly there. You really saw him as this really great military person who really does care about her, and that's one of the things I like. I like that he didn't turn out to be a dick, because I thought that's what they were going to do. I thought he was going to be this great guy, and then turn him into a dick, and that's not what they did. He really was there for her, but unfortunately, because she delayed him from his tours, he had to go on this tour, and I'll talk about what happens to him in the spoilers, but wow, he gave, towards the end of the show, amazing performance, really. He was great, and his big song, Hey Kid, is one of the best songs on the show, I have to say, because it's what every father is singing, and I love that. I really do love how, I also didn't realize how relatable the show was going to be, and that's something else I really loved. Now, Jerry Dixon usually plays Steven in the show, but he did not play Steven for me. The role of Steven was actually played by Joe Aaron Reed, if you guys want to see that right there. He played Steven, and he was fantastic, I have to say. In fact, I was happy that I didn't see Jerry Dixon because of how good Joe Aaron Reed was. He was so great in this role, and honestly, Steven I like seeing a lot more than Lucas in the Beth timeline. You see Steven in the Beth timeline, he gives her this job, and the chemistry between them was great. He was really funny at points, and I just thought his character was really good overall. And I thought he was really well written. I definitely really liked his character. And I wish we would have seen him a little bit more. Really, I really liked his character, and I like what they did with him. So, he was great. I really like what they did with his character. Jen Coella in the show. I've heard Jen Coella in Chaplin. She was so funny in this show. Her chemistry with LaShawne's is perfectly there. In fact, their relationship is just as interesting as Lucas and not Lucas, as Liz and Josh. Their chemistry is just as, they have this whole big storyline. It's really well done. And one of the things I love about her character that there are so many scenes where she's just in presence and they make fun of it. Like, there was a scene where she's like, I'm here, I have nothing to do with this, but I'm here, and it was so funny. She was so great in the show, and I love that they made fun of that. And she did that a lot of times throughout the show, and I definitely really enjoyed that. And she again, just like Elizabeth Shawns, I think she was also having a ball of fun. You could tell how much fun she was having, and I love seeing that because I want to see these people have fun. I do. I want to see them have fun, and it was great to see her just have fun, and she did have fun with this role, which was great to see, and I love that. I think she did a fantastic job, and she was great. She really was. She's not on the show as much as you think, but it really didn't matter to me because she wasn't a central character, but she still was a great character, and I still think she did a fantastic job in this show. Jason Tam is in the show as well. He plays David, who, as I said, is Lucas's boyfriend, and I just really love the fun relationship between them. I mean, there's this great line about how he's complaining about how needy children are, and you eventually realize that he's talking about himself, and it's such a funny scene with him and David, those interactions between them, and just how they played off each other was really nicely done. I definitely really enjoyed it, and I just thought they really were adorable. I mean, I really do. I think they were a great couple together. They were really well done, and they were really well written as well, which was something I definitely liked. They didn't try to they didn't try to throw it down our throats either. It wasn't like, oh my god, they're gay, we have to throw it down our throats. And I mean, I'm straight. I will say that I'm a straight man, but I do like it when they have well written gay and lesbian characters because they're just like us. They really are. I mean, they're just because they like the same sex, they're just like us, and we need to remember that. And I think they portrayed that in the show really well. The only person I'll talk about is Tamika Lawrence, who plays, she plays Elena. She was also really good. She ends up becoming, best friend while Kate is away, and I thought she really portrayed her character really well as well, and I thought everyone else in the show was great. I thought everyone else was great, and I definitely enjoyed their characters. But those are really the central characters. I know there are a lot of characters in the show, but those are really essential characters of, If Then. So, that's basically it for the acting. Now, I really want to talk about the best part of the show. The best thing about the show, not only the book, but also the musical. First of all, the book was amazing. The book, the dialogue that they had was so good. It really, a lot of times, it feels like the last 5 years. It really did. I mean, just the way the transitions were done. The first act felt a lot like the last 5 years. My only problem with the show is the second act. I mean, besides Lucas's thing, the second act, it did get a little too confusing, and I feel like some time periods they stayed in a little bit too long. It was like, what happened in the back-forth perspective? I like that they did that in the first half, and then the second act, they didn't do that as well, so... But one of the things I think they did really well was differentiate between Liz and Beth. As I said, when she's Liz, she has these glasses. When she's Beth, she doesn't, and I think it's really good the way they differentiate between the two. Definitely good the way you did that. The book overall, though, was great. It was a very indie show. Like, I could see, if this gets me into a movie, I could see this be a very indie show, definitely. Just the way that they were saying the lines, things like that, definitely, I see the show being very indie. I don't know how to explain it. It's just, like, you know how, like, the last 5 years was an indie movie? I could see this being like that. I could see this being made into a movie, but, like, the last 5 years, definitely, I could see it like that. The score to this show is amazing. Every single musical number is memorable. There's not a single musical number that I didn't like. The only musical number I didn't like was You Don't Need to Love Me, but that's just because how fucking needy Lucas was, and it just fell out of place. It really did. I mean, his song, I'm like, seriously? We're getting a whole song about this? That's really my only thing. And keep in mind, guys, I didn't listen to that song a lot on the soundtrack, and I still didn't really like it. So, but other than that, though, every song is great, and there are so many songs that one of the things I love is that every song, a lot of them, point out the positive and negative consequences that these different choices make. And I'm going to talk about that when I get to really what my favorite thing about the show. And that's really how relatable it was. That's my favorite thing about the show, is how relatable this show really was. I mean, we all think about the other shoe. We all think about what could happen if we made this choice or that choice, and the show really plays with that in a very good way and in a very refreshing way as well. It doesn't try to shove it down your throats. It's not like, oh my god, she's in this time period. No, she's in this time period. It doesn't shove it down your throats like that, and I love it that it did that, because I was worried that the show was going to shove it down your throat, and it really didn't. And the other thing I think the show did really well was just translate, which is show that idea of just the positive and negative consequences that this is doing to her. And for every good choice in the, because each time period there is no good or bad, they each have positive and negative consequences, especially towards the end of the show. And I'm going to get into spoilers in a second, but the end of the show was one of the things that I absolutely loved, and I think the way they ended was just great overall. The sets in the show, oh my god, I heard somebody say that the sets were not as good as they could have been. What the hell are you talking about? That is one of the most beautiful sets I have ever seen. There is this one-way mirror at the top of the stage. It's amazing to see, because literally you're seeing what we're seeing, but up for, like, from the top. It's amazing the way they captured that. The way they did that was amazing, and the transitions as well were really cool. There's like this balcony thing, and that was really cool as well. I think the way that they handled those transitions were just, the set was amazing, and I love the set. It was beautiful. The costume design was great as well. Really modern day. I mean, the time period says the recent past, so it really wasn't anything that big, but I thought the costume design still was great, because it looked like the recent past, which was great, and I love that. And the setting was really good as well. But now I'm getting into spoilers for If Then. If you guys have not seen If Then, unfortunately, you're out of luck. Now, if the show comes on tour, which I know it probably will, because I have a friend who lives in Boston, and he wants, and the show's actually coming to his theater, which is in Boston. So if you guys want to see the show when it goes on tour, then don't listen to the rest of these spoilers. However, the show is only open for one more day on Broadway. Like, I saw the second to last show. And also, I forgot to say, my seats were 6 rows away from the stage. So, and the stage itself, the venue itself, the theater is not very big. It's great that it is, because no matter how small or big, no matter how far away you are, the seats are great, because it's not a very big theater. In fact, I believe it's the same theater I saw Newsies at. I think it was. I'm not sure, but I think that it was. Just how far away, just how small it was, that's basically how my Newsies stage was, which was great. So, now I'm getting into spoilers for If Then. If you guys have not seen If Then, I really recommend you guys do see it. Maybe you can find a bootleg somewhere, but if you guys do want to see it when it comes on tour, then watch it on tour. If you guys know about it, then you guys don't really care. But let me get into spoilers. The thing that worked so well for me was the ending of the show, because of course, Josh dies, and I thought they handled that really well. And I know some people are going to be like, the show's a comedy, then they just throw drama into there, but I think that's really trying to show how your life could be going so great and so fun, but then there is that one thing that just ruins it. And I like that it didn't ruin just that timeline. It didn't ruin that timeline for Beth. In fact, things got better for Beth after that. And even though, of course, in one timeline, Kate and Anne, they stay together. In the other timeline, Kate and Anne divorce, because, Liz is not there to tell them that they need to stay together and love each other, which I really love that they did that, and I definitely really enjoyed that. The ending where she meets up with Steven and he talks to her, I thought was great. And then in the Beth perspective, where we saw her talking with Josh and meeting him for the first time after he was on tour, I loved as well. And the other thing I forgot to say about the show that I definitely really enjoyed was it was also very funny. It was so funny at points, and also the way they did the lines was really cool. When they'd have her say something and then say it again a different way in the other perspective was definitely really well done, and I love that. I think the way that they handled that was great. I guess the only other spoiler was that I love the way they ended it with, I love the way they did the plane crash was amazingly well done. I didn't know there was going to be a plane crash, which I thought was really great as well, and just the way they ended the show I thought was great. Probably my favorite part of the show was probably, honestly, the ending. The way they handled that I thought was beautiful, and I love that. Also, the ensemble is fucking amazing to the show. Now, it's not a very big ensemble. They use the same ensemble for both perspective, which I actually really enjoyed that they did that, because it is just the same people, just in different time periods, and I really like the way they played with that. They did a very good job with showing that, and just the way that was all done, I thought was amazing. So overall, guys, I absolutely loved If Then. It did have that one small gripe with Lucas. If you can overlook that, then this is a fantastic show. Some people are going to get very confused by the show. I don't think it's confusing. If you guys focus on it and try and just remember what happened in each time period, it doesn't get that confusing. And I will say the second act is a little more confusing than the first half. There was some parts where I was like, what happened here and things like that. Especially with the Lucas thing, I didn't like the way they did that very well. But other than that, I really love the show. It's by far the second best show I have seen. The best show I have seen on Broadway is Newsies, but this is definitely the second best I have seen. I absolutely loved it. Highly recommend. I would say go out and see it, but you can't see it because it's closing tomorrow. And if you guys want to get tickets, go ahead, DM right now. If you want to get tickets after this video, be my guest. Go ahead, get the tickets, whatever you want to do there. But unfortunately, if you really want to see the show in Broadway theater, you're out of luck. It is coming on tour. You guys can probably look up the dates, and I honestly would recommend you guys see it. It really is a great show. I think it is a show that a lot of people will relate to. It's extremely relatable, definitely, and it really plays into the idea of the different perspectives and, you thinking about other choices you could have made and the positive, negative consequences of each choice, which I definitely really loved, and just the way that was done was handled so well, and I love this show. But that's basically my review of If Then. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys have seen the show. What do you think of it? And I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for my review of, I think a movie review. I don't know what my next review is going to be, but I'll see you guys for whatever it is. Okay, bye.